These things are extremely dangerous. These two things I'm about to tell you. Please be extremely conscious of these two things. You ready? Here they go. Number one is called ambition. Ambition with respects to being driven, going after your goals, staying hungry. You're going, wait a minute, what is he talking about? Just wait, I swear, it'll all make sense. Number one is ambition. Number two is impatience. Ambition and impatience are a deadly combination in the worst way possible. I'll tell you why. Ambition makes you get in the car, put your foot on the gas, and floor it to the frickin' moon. But impatience makes you forget to put on a seatbelt. Next thing you know, you're out the frickin' windshield. When you start getting impatient, but you're hungry, the problem is you want to go after your passion. So you put in time, whether it's working out, building your business, being healthy, and you do what you got to do for 1 week, but you go hard in that week. You're intense, you're doing it every single day. But at the end of that week, when you're not getting your results, now you get impatient. Now you get anxious. And what impatience leads you to do is it leads you to sacrifice long-term gain for short-term gain. So what do? I'm like, my podcast isn't blowing up, so it's time to buy followers on Instagram. Or my podcast isn't blowing up, it's time to buy, X amount of money for an online course. You start doing these things that might be irrational. As opposed to, you go hard, you're ambitious, you're hungry, but you're extremely patient. That I'm not thinking, I want to hit 1 million listeners on this podcast in 2020. But maybe I want to hit 1 million listeners on this podcast in 2025. Now, my friends, we've got something. Now we've got gold. Why? Because I have the hunger. I'm driven. But because I'm patient, it allows me to be consistent. It allows me to be intense and consistent. It doesn't mean I can do 500 push-ups in 1 day and then give up the next because I don't have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson shoulders. It means that I can do 300 push-ups every single day, nonstop for 5 years. When you can be patient and when you can be ambitious, when you're willing to put in the work, when you're willing to keep your head down, when you're willing to sweat for it, when you're willing to lose sleep for it, but you are patient enough to make logical decisions as opposed to emotionally driven ones. Because of impatience, life gets so much sweeter. Because what happens is now you see the bigger picture. Now you can look back and you can go, okay, you can plan things out better. There's no hurry. There's no one pointing a gun to your head saying, hey, you gotta blow up by May of 2021, right? That's not happening. And if you're patient, it's very hard to get burned out. It is very hard to get burned out. The number one reason, before starting YouTube, I looked at a bunch of videos about what you should know before starting XYZ. The number one reason that people give up on YouTube or give up on podcasting is because they go into a mentality of they're chasing money as opposed to chasing happiness. What does that mean? Chasing money, you're going, I want to start a YouTube channel because I want to become rich. Chasing happiness means I want to start a YouTube channel because it's fun. It's what I enjoy doing. The problem with the first one is when you pursue it in terms of money, if you don't get that money in the first 6 months or whatever irrational time limit you've put for yourself, you're gonna start to lose it. And you're gonna be like, you know what? I've been doing it for 6 months. It's not worth it. I'm getting 3 views. Forget this. Whereas the guy who's doing it for fun, man, he might be getting 1 view, but he's having fun. He's enjoying it. And would he like to make some money? Sure. Because he's a patient person, he can think, you know what? I have time to make this money, but it's not a priority right now. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. Even going back to the first guy, if he got YouTube specifically to make money, but if he's thinking like, you know what, not to make money right now, but to make money 3, 4, 5 years down the line, that is so much more powerful than someone saying, I gotta blow up next week. I need $10,000 in the next 2 months. Like what? Because now what you're doing is you're putting yourself at a disadvantage and you're adding so much anxiety and so much struggle and so much hardship. And for what? Why are you doing this to yourself? So you're really pinning up all these obstacles. The reason why this is a message that was so near my heart was because I've been thinking about impatience a lot. I've recently experienced over the last few months several periods where I've acted out in ways that were pretty similar to being impatient. So I sat down and I thought to myself, I said, okay, why am I acting out like this? And there were several things. Usually there isn't just one factor. There's several factors involved. There's, exam time going on. You're being in an argument with someone at the same time. You're forgetting to do something else at the same time. It all piles up and then boom, off goes the lid and you just, you say something that you don't mean. And it really got me thinking, my friends, with respect to patience, I sincerely believe from the bottom of my heart, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe patience is you either have it or you don't have it. I don't think patience is you're just not a patient person, thus you will never be a patient person. I believe you can say, hey, you are not a very patient person. However, that does not mean that you cannot develop it, like any skill, that you cannot become a patient person later on in life. I sincerely believe from the bottom of my heart that the only thing stopping you between you being confident and not being confident, you being patient and not being patient, you being kind and not being kind, is conscious awareness. Now, how can you become consciously aware? Listening to a podcast like this about patience, reading books about the benefits of being patient, watching TED Talks, YouTube videos about patience. And what happens is when you constantly remind yourself, I guarantee you, if you ever find yourself in situations where you feel like the lid's about to pop off and you're feeling impatient, you will subconsciously think about this. You'll think about hearing my voice talking about patience. You'll think about wanting to become patient. You'll think about all these other outlets that you've allowed into your life. I talked about the benefits of being patient, and what you're gonna do in that moment is your conscious thought about being patient is gonna hopefully override and fight with that subconscious thought of, man, I'm getting restless, I'm getting tired, I'm getting irritated, I wanna get up and go. And eventually what'll happen is you'll just keep being in situations over and over and over again when you expose yourself to it and when you open your mind to it, whether you want to talk about law of attraction, the universe, or honestly just science, just psychology. If you believe that, I want to be a patient person, from this day I'm going to become more patient. I swear to you, you will become a more patient person. Because what's going to happen is you are going to call yourself out when you're in situations that you don't feel patient in. And when that happens, you get to keep yourself in line. And slowly over time, you will become patient to the point where it becomes second nature. You don't have to think about it. You just are a patient person. And the beginning is you tell yourself you're patient here. I guarantee you later on, other people are gonna tell you, man, I love your patience. You're such a patient person. And you're sitting there going, man, that's funny. 6 months ago I wasn't. But look at the guy complimenting me now. I really think, my friend, patience goes an extremely long way. But again, I do not think it's like you are patient or you aren't. I think it is a skill, and just like any skill, it can be developed. It is a trait, more like a trait. Trait is better than a skill. It can be developed, it can be worked on, it can be improved. Thus, my friends, if you want to become more patient, which I highly believe you should, because if you're already ambitious, you want to be patient. They go together, my friends, like bread and ham, like shoes and shoelaces, like bread and peanut butter, like Daniel and podcasts. Bada boom! And on that fantastic finesse note, thank you so much for joining me, my friends, on the podcast. My name is Daniel. Daniel Teaches. You can find it on all over social media. Thank you so much for listening. I am ever grateful. Take care of yourselves, my friends. Bye-bye.